Well, good morning, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. I will, of course, tell you who's coming up on the show here in just a few minutes, but I appreciate you being along with me on a morning that is kind of chilly in my neck of the woods. Wintertime decided she wasn't quite done yet, right? She wanted to come back and remind us that it is indeed only March, which is to be expected. But when you have temperatures that are in the 70s and now this, hey, Cliff, good morning, buddy. How are you? Nice to have you along with us, Cliff, a regular viewer, contributor here on Behind the Mic. Tommy, good morning. Hey, Tommy, are you going to make it tonight to West Branch? We've had a couple of last minute table cancellations. I suspect because of sickness, that flu that's going around is just absolutely nasty. So if you want to join us tonight, you can 989-343-0892 for reservations. Joel, good morning. How are you? Hey, always a pleasure. How are you and the family doing? Again, we have, I think, two tables open tonight because we had some last minute cancellations. Again, I think because of sickness. 989-343-0892. If you would like to join us tonight at the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch for Wednesday Night Live, Dixie Dave is our special guest chef. He's cooking up walleye New Orleans and shrimp scampi as well. Hey, Bruce, good morning. How are you? Yeah, Tommy, that'd be great. Call up there, 989-343-0892. Love to see you guys there. And I just talked to Emil Rousseau, and he said just this morning a couple of cancellations came in. And again, I think it's probably because that nasty flu that's going around. Do you have anybody? Do you know anybody who's had that stuff? It hangs on for a couple of weeks. My good friend Ross Elliott was going to be there tonight with a table full of his family and friends, and he's not going to make it. He's sick as a dog. And for Ross to say he's too sick to be there, he is indeed sick. Hey, good morning, Mike. How are you? Nice to have you along with us. Yeah, Tommy, why not? Make the drive to West Branch. If you have not seen these before, my name is Mike Avery. This is something I do every Wednesday morning here from the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. Kevin, good morning. How are you? Hey, Kevin, can I assume that you think the decision by the NRC was a very, very dumb and politically motivated move? Very disappointing, isn't it? I thought we were governed by sound scientific wildlife management practices as approved by Proposal G by the voters of Michigan many years ago. And now we get an NRC, a group that is appointed by the governor, making decisions that have no sound scientific wildlife management policies. Hello, Mark. Good morning. How are you? I saw your video the other day, Highway to Hell. That was pretty good. How's the fishing been? It was a dumb move, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Yellow perch doing good down in South Carolina. That's why MUCC needs independent memberships. Misguided for sure. Mark, good morning. How are you? Tommy's like, Allie, Avery's got an opening at the dinner tonight in West Branch. 989-343-0892 if you would like to join us. I've got some friends joining me tonight. Mr. Angler Quest himself, Brad Dupuis, will be with us. Nick DeShano of Offshore Tackle. Steve Wyndham of MUCC will be with us as well. We're giving away some Primal blinds. We're giving away some offshore tackle gear. We're giving away a Rapid River knife, some Rec broadheads, and of course, some Michigan brand products, including our ham for the holidays. But you're going to have to be there in person to take advantage of it. We got a couple tables open at the last minute, 989-343-0892. Yeah, the weather's been challenging, to say the least. Hey, Mark. Uncle Johnny, how you doing, buddy? Look forward to seeing you tonight. Eli says the MUCC calendar is awesome. Got all the hunting dates. Excellent, Eli. And I'm sure the folks at MUCC will be glad to hear that. I'm actually going up to West Branch a little bit early tonight. We're going to have our hello, Carl. Good evening, or good morning. We're having our first meeting today regarding the Avery Outdoors Golf Outing coming up in West Branch on Monday, July 29th. Our kickoff meeting is tonight. More details on that coming up. Paul says, if we get enough people, it could pursue a vote if we could put it fear into politicians to listen to us. Why do we have to do that, Paul? We shouldn't have to do that. Morning, Rocky. Again, cool name. A lot cooler than Mike Avery, that's for sure. Okay, so it is officially springtime now, at least according to the calendar, but Mother Nature's decided she's not going to let us enjoy it just yet. I think it feels exceptionally cold because it was so exceptionally warm, but yesterday, these last couple of days, absolutely bitter out there. Walleye pike seasons are now closed on inland waters, which means inland lakes. It also means the rivers, except for connecting rivers, which would be the Detroit River, the St. Clair River, the St. Mary's River. Also this year, the Saginaw River below the Center Street Bridge in Saginaw is also open to walleye fishing year round. Hey, Steve. Good morning, buddy. How are you? No, we're doing it at the West Branch Country Club, Rob. The golf outing is at the West Branch Country Club, Monday, July 29th. Details on that coming. I can tell you this. Proceeds will go to MUCC's Camp for Kids. Chris, how are things in the beautiful city of Grand Rapids? Chris, did you see that Grand Rapids was just named the 14th best city in the country to live in? You know what was number 1 in the country? Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor. Home of the National Football Champions, by the way. In case nobody knew that. Wow, yeah, 14th in the city or in the country. Coyote season. Let's talk more about this. Last week, Thursday, the NRC voted to close the coyote hunting season for 3 months during the, what do we call it? It's not if it was in the whitetail world, it would be a fawning season. I don't want to call it a pupping season, whelping season. What is it? April, May, June, I think, is when the season is going to be closed. Again, no biological reason to do it. Strictly a political reason. There's so much going on behind the scenes in this. This was actually started by a hunting group. So we are pitting hunters against hunters. And the MUCC. Okay, Paul, what is their reasoning to close it? They're worried about how it looks to the anti-hunters. We are now making hunting season decisions in Michigan based on the perception of anti-hunters. What is this? Colorado? California? No, it's Michigan. Very, very disturbing. Coming up on this week's radio show, Nick Green is going to join me, and he's not happy about this at all. At all. Something else coming up on the horizon. There are 2 commercial fishing bills in the works in Lansing right now. One of them would allow commercial fishermen to take walleye on Saginaw Bay. The walleye population on Saginaw Bay back in the 40s was decimated by pollution and overharvesting by commercial fishermen. When those fish were put back in the bay in the late 70s and early 80s, it wasn't the commercial fishermen who did it. It was fishing groups around the bay, sportsmen's groups around the bay, and the DNR worked together to establish rearing ponds and put walleye back in Saginaw Bay. So why in the world would commercial fishermen be allowed to take those fish? There's a second bill out there right now, in fact, spearheaded by a representative out of Saginaw, that would not allow that. Jordan, decision by the NRC must be overturned. I got to put my glasses on to see this. Must be overturned through the judicial system. Outdoorsmen a whole must stand united under the banner of sound science. Amen to that. Paul says, I was under the impression it was nesting season for turkeys or some other game bird. That's why a resolution was passed for a quiet season. Nope. Nothing to do with that at all, Paul. Absolutely nothing to do with that at all. You'd think so. Nothing to do with that at all. It was presented and proposed by a hunting group and approved by an NRC that is afraid of the perception to anti-hunters. Brandon, Detroit River's getting good from the old bridge to the new bridge, 36 to 40 feet of water, worms over finesse minnows, lots of big fish being caught. Jerry, good morning. How are you? Don't want to rely on these things, but with my small screen that I'm working with here in the studio, I need a little help, a little cheater help. Okay, what else? Turkey season now just around the corner, about a month away. Ricky says it's all about the money, Mike. You know that politicians just can't keep their hands out of the pot. There's no money to be made on this one, Ricky. No money here at all. Speaking of money, though, I will give one group of anglers in this state credit, the Great Lakes Salmon Initiative. They were able to talk MUCC out of their proposal against increasing the number of rods a Great Lakes trolling angler can use. And one of the reasons for it, and this is legit, very legit and very smart, any money raised by that license would hopefully be earmarked for cormorant control. How smart is that? Tell me the last time, Brandon says, tell me the last time our DNR did us any good. Well, we got a hell of a turkey population in our state. We got a wonderful walleye fishing in our state. We've got Great Lakes fishing in our state. So I'm not one of those guys who says the DNR screws everything up. And this wasn't a DNR thing. This is an NRC thing. Remember, you got DNR, NRC, legislature. DNR can only make recommendations. And DNR was not behind this. 4 of 7, I think, commissioners voted against it or for it, whatever it was. Really, really disappointing. I actually am going to ask Nick Green when I have him on the show this week. Nick, name the commissioners who voted against sound scientific management. And we'll see if he'll do that on the air. I'm starting to agree with you, Hunter Joe. Sadly, the NRC is nothing more than another political arm of the governor. They're appointed by the governor. There's a member of the tribes on there now. Corey, hey, was told that the UP trappers brought this closure to the table. No proof from anyone where it originally came from. Nobody wants to admit it. I personally think the DNR brought this up, started the fight between. No, not true, Corey. DNR didn't bring this up. Why would the DNR want to cause a fight between hunting groups? DNR is not infallible. They make a lot of dumb moves, a lot of stupid moves, just like all big government agencies do. But why would the DNR want to cause fights between hunters? Paul says 4-2 vote. I knew there was 4 in there somewhere. Dan, good morning. How are you? Too many cooks in the kitchen? 4-2. Okay, I got you guys. 4-2. Time for a sportsman to be on the board. Well, you'd think, wouldn't you? And if you read the bios of the commissioners, you know, oh, I like to fly fish the holy waters of the Asable, so I'm an outdoorsman. Paul says APRs were a hot topic, but were turned down. Thank God. Jordan, one commissioner absent. Early, the vote was 4-2. Nyberg and Walters in opposition. Baird, Kozad, Anthony, Clark in support. So here we go, right here. Nyberg and Walters in opposition. Baird, Kozad, Anthony, Clark in support. Thank you, Jordan. Here's the thing, Jeremy. Jeremy says the feds gave the state the money for cormorant control. Where is that money? The feds gave the state the authority to do cormorant control, but there wasn't enough money to do all of the cormorant control that was authorized. So the thinking is that this money from this new Great Lakes trolling license will be used for cormorant control. Now I realize that might not happen, but that's the goal. Corey says they want deer killed. Nobody is shooting them. I just got a text I got to take a look at. Who's that from? I can't answer that text right now. I'm sorry. Asaba River, year-round fishing. Some rules for entire river passed. Yes. Did the DNR ever get to the bottom of all the walleye that were left in the nets last year in Wigwam Bay on Saginaw Bay? Yes, Ricky, they did. And the commercial fishermen who left them out there did nothing wrong according to the letter of the law. That's why MUCC and other groups were pushing for in this commercial fishing legislation that has since been twisted and turned. MUCC was saying, look, you should have to check those nets every so often, because right now there's nothing on the books that tells those guys when they have to check their nets. You, as a recreational trapper, are forced to check your traps every so often. Commercial fishermen have no regulation forcing them to check their nets in a timely manner. Let it ring, Tommy. Let it ring. Tommy says he can't get the answering machine at Lumberjack. Let me make a text. Emil. People calling. No answer on machine. Hang tight, Tommy. Justin Tomei of MUC says the good commercial fishing bill, which is HB 5553, House Bill 5553, that's the good commercial fishing bill, has dropped. Good morning, Charles. Hey, Andy, how you doing, buddy? I saw your pictures there. I did post them. Didn't get them to him till Monday, but yeah, Tommy, I just sent that to Emil. I think what you have to do, Tommy, is just let it ring and ring and ring and ring and ring and ring and ring, because they're not open on Wednesdays. But there are people there in the background. So if you call 989-343-0892, 989-343-0892, and let it ring, and let it ring, and let it ring. Worst case scenario, Tommy, send me a text or something, and we'll get you in there for the night. Hi, Charlie.
Good morning to you, sir.
You should have to check your traps or nets. You could. Common sense. But the guy up in Wigwam Bay on Saginaw Bay last spring wasn't doing anything wrong according to the letter of the law. Tommy, I just talked to Emil. He just sent me a text. He is tied up doing all kinds of things right now. He says, come on up. We will find you a spot. So, Tommy, bring the family. I will personally guarantee you we will get you a spot. We'll have seats for you. So try again if you want. Or if not, just show up. We'll get you in tonight, Tommy. I'd love to see you guys there. Johnny Buller says it's a white morning in the Yoop. Hunter Joe, I watched the live stream of the NRC meeting. Baird said he was a lawyer in a past life, just another politician. I think there's more than one lawyer on the NRC. Now, nothing against lawyers. My daughter's a lawyer. But I personally, Mike Avery, I'm really starting to question this whole concept of the NRC being political appointees by the governor when I see an action like they took on the coyote hunt. Blatantly dismissing sound scientific management practices while being worried about the perception to anti-hunters. Again, this is not California. This is not Colorado. This is Michigan. Jason, did you get your reservations up there? Jordan says Nyberg's an attorney as well. Jason Gasta, did you get your reservations for the Lumberjack tonight? Jeremy says Nyberg is a lawyer. He opposed it. So yeah, just being look, I'm not saying being a lawyer is a bad thing. Again, my daughter's a lawyer. I guess I would just feel better if there were fewer lawyers and more hardcore hunters and anglers on the NRC, but that's not going to happen as long as it's appointed by the governor. or the governoress or the governorette, or I mean, her commander in chief or whatever her name is. Oh, you got Wednesday night service tonight. All right, Jason. I was hoping to see you guys up there. Hey, Pastor Kaiser will understand. Just tell him you can't make it tonight because you're going to the Avery dinner in West Branch. He'll say, "Hey, fine." He'll say, "You're forgiven, my son." That sounded like it hurt. How much time, Charlie?
1 minute.
Well, then, my friends, let me tell you who's coming up on the show this week. Bobby Sullivan. Excellent, Tommy. Excellent. Look forward to seeing you. Bobby Sullivan's my first guest this week. He's talking about springtime steelheading. Then Bill Winowicki. Okay, the consent decree has been passed. What now? Bill is with the Michigan Charter Boat Association. In our second hour, we're talking turkey with Greg Abbas. Then Nick Green of MUCC. Nick's going to fill us in on this whole, what I'm calling a debacle with the NRC and the coyote hunting season. My words, not his. And in hour number 3, it's food plot planting season almost, as we talk with Rich Krazan of Killer Food Plots. And of course, we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. One more time. We have last minute tables available tonight at the Lumberjack. I think it's because there's a lot of flu going around. 893-430-0892 for reservations. Let it ring and let it ring and let it ring. If you can't get a hold of them, get in touch with me. We'd love to see you tonight. We will live at 7 o'clock tonight. Get your reservations coming tonight, 5:30 or 6 o'clock or so. Some great giveaways. Brad Dupuis, Mr. Angler Quest is going to join me. Nick DeShano of Offshore Tackle is going to join me. Extreme long range shooter Paul Phillips is going to join me. And then Steve Wyndham of MUCC will be there as well. So it's going to be a good time. If we fail to stand up against this outrageous decision by the NRC, according to Jordan Hoover, our entire outdoor way of life in the state of Michigan is in trouble. Exactly. All right, my friends, I got to go. Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. So what is this? I guess it's a radio show. I mean, it must be, right? I'm sitting here in a radio studio in front of a radio microphone, talking on a radio show. And you know what? I'm pretty lucky and pretty blessed to be able to do this every week for 3 hours, talking about the great outdoors, the history and tradition of the outdoor lifestyle here in the great state of Michigan, and occasionally beyond. We talk about hunting, we talk about fishing, we talk about trapping, we talk about shooting, we talk about wildlife issues, we talk about conservation issues. We even have some wild game cooking at the end of each week's show. We talk about the weather too, right? Because when you are involved in outdoor activities, Mother Nature is ultimately in control. As much as that frustrates us, as much as that drives us crazy, nothing we can do about it. The weather conditions, the rain, the wind, the water levels, the current flow, and then you've got to worry about whether the critters are going to cooperate. That was just the weather. And then you've got critters. Are the fish going to bite today? Are the turkeys going to gobble today? But that's what keeps me going back out there. Because you never know what each day's adventure will bring. When you walk off into the woods, springtime turkey woods with a shotgun in your hand or a bow or whatever, you don't know how that day will end. When you head down to the river after steelhead, you don't know what the day is going to be like. Every day when you head out there has the potential of being the best day you ever had in the outdoors. And isn't that cool? Isn't that part of the appeal? It is for me. And how do I define the best day ever? It has changed during my lifetime. Early on, it was like, okay, I have to learn how to do this. Whatever it was, whether it was turkey hunting or deer hunting or bear hunting or walleye fishing or steelhead fishing or whatever. And believe me, I spent a lot of time standing on the bank of the Asable before I ever caught a steelhead. So there's the first stage, learning how to do it, learning how to become proficient enough to catch something or harvest something. Then, okay, I want to catch or harvest as many of those things as I can. If I can catch one or if I can shoot one, I want to get my limit. That's stage two. Then there's stage three. Okay, I know I can catch a few of these things or harvest a few of these things. Now I want the biggest one possible. I want the biggest turkey. I want the biggest bear. I want the biggest deer. I want the biggest rack. I want the biggest fish. That's the next stage. But you know the stage I'm at now? Stage I'm at now is just to get out there and enjoy it. I no longer feel, and I talk to a lot of guys who've been doing this for a long time, a lot of years. They say the same thing. Now it's just the experience of being out there. It's the experience that is the experience. The experience being out there on the water, enjoying a beautiful day, being out there in the woods, watching the Mother Nature come alive. That's the reward. That is now the goal. If we can share that with somebody else, all the better. Speaking of weather, going back to my earlier point before I got off track. Hey, it's springtime now. The calendar says it's springtime. Mother Nature decided she didn't want to go along with that. We knew that was going to happen, right? Even in the weird weather world that we live in today, when we didn't have a winter last year, we knew that it was when it was 70 degrees at the end of February, 70 degrees in early March. Yeah, we were going to pay for it. And we have been the last few days. It's been cold, like really uncomfortably cold. A cold that if you felt it in the middle of January, you'd go, that's cold. But when you feel it in March, after feeling some 70-degree weather, it's really cold. It's uncomfortably cold. But it is what it is, right? We deal with Mother Nature. We deal with what the conditions are. And again, that's part of the appeal. Walleye pike season's now closed on the inland lakes and rivers. They'll open up here in a few weeks, depending on whether you are in the lower or the Yup. Waters that are open, of course, the Great Lakes, connecting waters. Connecting waters do not mean any river that connects to the Great Lakes. It means rivers that connect Great Lakes, like the St. Mary's, like the Detroit River, like the St. Clair River. Also now, Saginaw River is open year-round below Center Street in Saginaw. Turkey season coming up here. I have been doing some half-hearted scouting. By that, I mean driving by properties I like to hunt and seeing if there are any birds out there. I am a little bit concerned this year. My buddy Doug, who allows me to hunt on his farm, did some property improvement in his eyes, and that was taking down a fence row of trees, tall trees. That has completely changed the feel of that property. It's completely changed the layout. And I think it's going to affect the way birds move through that property as well. We will find out. Since we've last talked, the NRC, the Natural Resources Commission, kind of the governing body of all things hunting and fishing here in Michigan. You might say it's the DNR. It's not. It's the NRC. The NRC made what is, in my opinion, a very disturbing decision. They decided to go against sound scientific wildlife management practices as mandated in Proposal G, as approved by the voters of the state of Michigan years ago, which says all hunting and fishing seasons and such decisions will be based on sound scientific wildlife management practices. Well, they decided, against the recommendation of the DNR and with no biological reason, to close Michigan's coyote hunting season for 3 months during the spring. Why did they do that? Unfortunately, the proposal was, as far as I can tell, brought forth by a hunting group which created all kinds of an uproar in the hunting community. The NRC could have quashed it by just voting it down. But no, they voted to approve to close the coyote hunting season. Why? Because they're worried about the perception it gives to anti-hunters. What state are we in again? Are we in California? No. Are we in Colorado? No. We're in Michigan. I think this is a very disturbing decision. And if we let this stand, we being the hunters and anglers and shooters and trappers and outdoorsmen and women of Michigan, if we let this stand, we're in trouble because it's going to set the tone. Really, really disappointing. Speaking of politics and legislature and all kinds of junk like that I usually don't like to talk about, but it seems to be a topic right now. There are 2 commercial fishing bills in Lansing right now. One of them being a bad bill, one of them being a good bill. The bad bill would actually allow commercial anglers to take Saginaw Bay walleye. Why? The Saginaw Bay walleye population was decimated back in the 40s by pollution and over harvesting by commercial fishermen. When the walleye population was reestablished in Saginaw Bay back in the late 70s, early 80s, it was not the commercial fishermen who did it. It was sportsmen's groups around the bay in cooperation with the DNR who established rearing ponds and started stocking walleye in Saginaw Bay. So why would we let the commercial fishermen come in and take those fish out? I know. There are a lot of fish on Saginaw Bay. Well, maybe not if we let commercial fishermen get to them. And I have nothing against commercial fishermen. I respect their heritage. They are hardworking people. I just disagree with their goal sometime as opposed to sport fishermen and women. More on that over the next few months. You can count on that. Hey, coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show after the break, Bobby Sullivan talks about springtime steelhead fishing in Michigan. Then Captain Bill Winowicki of the Michigan Charter Boat Association with what now? Now that the consent decree has been approved, what can we as anglers expect? In our second hour, we're talking turkey with Greg Abbas. And then Nick Green of MUCC joins me, and I suspect Nick is not happy with the NRC decision either. In our third hour, Rich Krizan of Killer Food Plots. We're talking food plot planting season, which appears has been put back on a normal schedule now after the cold weather we've had. And, of course, wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner wraps it all up. My name is Mike Avery. This show is called Outdoor Magazine. My website is MikeAveryOutdoors.com, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I'd love to hear from you. Reach out. Let me know what's on your mind. Bobby Sullivan after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. Hi, my friends. Have a good day. Listen, I hope to see you tonight, Wednesday Night Live, at the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch, 7 o'clock. If you can't join me in person, we'll see you online. Have a good day, my friends.